Greetings. In this short video, I will discuss the interface of ArcGIS a little bit and cover a couple of brief introductory topics on how to use some of the features that we see in front of us. So here we are in the interface for ArcGIS, and you're probably seeing something similar to this. These are movable toolbars, and so the arrangement will vary. The toolbars are, you can turn them on and off. So as you learn more, you will turn some of these on and off. And so this area up here will become more and more customized. These are completely free floating, and you can have them, if you like this kind of arrangement, you can have them floating around. So if I stop by your computer to help you do something, don't be surprised if it takes me a minute to figure out where the tools are on your computer, because they're not the same as my computer. The basic tool set, of course, you would start with adding data, and note that if I use the small check bar on the side of it, I can either add data or I can add base maps. And there was a 40-second pause while we waited for the base maps to pop up that I will delete from the movie, but you can see that I can have many different base maps to start from before I add my own data. That makes it easy to put things in a context, although a lot of times in our homeworks on this class you will not need to do that. If I want to get rid of that, I can just do a right click and hit remove, and it disappears. So if I'm adding data that I downloaded for the homework, I will need to make a connection to the folder where it's at. And so this tool allows me to connect to the folder. In my case, I put it on ctemp, but you may well have put it into some kind of removable storage. So then we have, so right now I am connecting to the folder. I am not adding any map layers. Now I will be able to see the folder every time I come back to add data. So as we work through the homework, we will be told to pick up various layers and do things. I'm doing a control click, which allows me to pick up a few of these selected. They're added to the table of contents window. There are other windows if you want to see data for kind of the big picture of data. You can use this catalog window. Note that one of the nice things about the catalog window is that I can drag and drop. So anything I see in the catalog window, I can drag over and pop up. This screen is telling me that the data that I just grabbed has a different coordinate system than the data inside the map. That's not a problem. So this is really merely a warning that you'd be aware of that. So I can close that and I can keep right on going. We will eventually be using the toolboxes, which are available by clicking this button. They pop in over here, and I can double click. I can find a tool that I want, double click and launch it and run it. There are a few tools in the geoprocessing drop-down box. In the first homework, we ask you to use clip and dissolve, and so you will come here to use those, or you could find them over here if you'd like. In fact, there's an ability to search here that would bring those up if you asked for them by name. There are some refinements available, such as setting bookmarks. A bookmark is, as it sounds, the ability to return to and from a certain place. You'll also see that the map layers over here that were added have basically picked random color codes. And we would normally expect that you will learn how to do a better job of symbolizing things. You'll see that in this first module. For example, in any homework, we expect railroads to look like a railroad, and if it's going to be water out here, we would expect that to be blue. And other colors will either be suggested to you or you can choose them. So if I want to do a simple operation, like how many miles or kilometers of railroad I have two things I can do. I open up a table, and there might be a column in the table that tells me the length of those, and there is. So I can right click and I can pull up statistics, which gives me the sum. So there's the sum of all those And these are individual line segments. Each one has its own row. Now then I would ask myself, what are the units there? Are those feet or miles or inches or millimeters? And you'll be told that in the homework that in this railroad layer, those are meters because of the way the coordinate system is set. And so that was 220,000 some meters of railroads in this layer. We'll also use selection tools. We have up here the ability to select by attributes, which means select from the table, or select by location, which means is an item near a map layer or within a map layer. And as you test this and see it in the virtual campus, you'll see there's many different choices. For example, we have the schools within our county mapped. And for me, who went to a red schoolhouse as a child, I expect schools to be red. The county outline, I can't see the edges of it, so I'm going to zoom to layer, which takes me, there's my Tippecanoe County, there's my schools, and I was trying to drag that, it didn't work. That's because up here, we have different ways of displaying this table of contents. And when I have the picture of the database, it's showing me the source on the computer of these layers. If I select this first icon, now they're in cartographic mapping order, so that if I drag one up, now the roads are on top of this opaque green teal colored box. So now my schools show on top of that, and then I wanted to bring my cities and towns up. So there are the incorporated municipalities in our county and their schools. And we'll ask a question such as, can I select all of the schools within a piece of one of these or within all of those? So that would be a select by location. So I'm selecting features from the schools layer, which are in relationship to cities and towns. And you can say intersect, which means do they touch the layer of, does schools touch towns? And I can apply a search distance. Let's say 1 mile. Okay, so this will find all of the schools within 1 mile of all of the towns. I can hit apply, and I see blue ones. Now I'm probably going to ask you how many blue ones are there. You could try to count with your eyeballs, and that can turn out to be very misleading. If a couple of these are real close together, you would count it wrong. So the smart way to do that is to open the table of the schools. Oh, now I see all the blue ones. I can see the whole. I could count with my eyeball. I selected down at the bottom, show only the selected, and in fact, down at the bottom of my table it says 29 out of 34 selected, and so I don't even need to count, it's counted for me. So there's 29 of those schools within 1 mile relationship to these towns. There are other tools that would give you exactly the same thing. You could put an outer rim around the towns of a mile and then select all the schools that are within that outer buffer, but this worked perfectly fine. We have other windows that we'll talk more about. We have a Python window, which allows us to run Python code inside of a window, inside of ArcMap. The nice thing about that is that I can drag and drop things in there. So instead of having to know the address on the computer of this layer, I can just drag the layer in and then I can run a Python tool on it. We also have the ability to run Model Builder, which we'll have you doing before the end of the semester. This is an extremely useful tool because I can drag any tool from the toolbox in, and then as I put in the map layers, and I can even drag the map layers in, I can build basically a giant set of processes that will all run automatically, and I know exactly where they're being saved, and I know exactly what I did. So that's a tremendous tool that we'll get to later. I would like to say a few words about adding data and moving your project from one computer to another. In the map on the screen, we can see that I have various layers of data turned on. If I change the icon to show the hard drive locations, you'll see that I have some data from ctemp. I have some other data from a W colon, which turns out to be a network drive in ABE. Here's from another folder on my hard drive. So the letter is part of the way that ArcGIS sees that data. If I move to another computer and the same hard drive is mapped with a different letter, then ArcGIS will not be able to find that data until I manually show it where it is. This impacts you if you have a USB drive, which might map as E or F in our lab, but on home computer it might be F or J or I. There'll be a little red X next to the data layers, and they won't appear on the map. The other question we have when we move data is, where can I put it where I can always see it? I have Google Drive. Let's connect to that and see what we see there. Here is my Google Drive. So that's what it really looks like on the hard drive. But I do have a map layer, and it is able to come into ArcMap and work. And so I can keep data layers on Google Drive, and then I could see them on other computers. You would still need to have Google Drive installed so that it shows up as a C:, or you're still going to manually have to tell it. I'm on a laptop at this moment. Maybe that would be true on all machines. I also am a participant in Boiler Backpack, which means that I have the ability to connect to that. I have Dropbox installed on this computer, and I also have a layer in Dropbox that works. So I can keep, let's turn the other one off, cities, zip codes, buffer. So I can see map layers that are in Dropbox or in Google Drive or in Boiler Backpack. The nice thing about Boiler Backpack is it's available on all machines on campus. However, you need to manually map the drive, which you'd know if you use Boiler Backpack, and then the letter that you tell it can be different from machine to machine unless you are consistent. So on this machine, ArcMap would look at X:, something inside Boiler Backpack, but if I installed it as, if I mapped it as T or S on some other machine, then I would still have to manually tell ArcMap how to find the data. So there's some concerns about moving from machine to machine. There are some other buttons up here that are pretty simple, and you'll see those in the virtual campus. So I think that wraps up this discussion. Thank you.